This is one of the scariest things that has happened to me. This experience happened to my cousin Ariel and I a couple of months ago. We are both 19-year-old females who could pass for 14-year-olds because of how short we are, both of us being about 4'11". This happened to us in Tijuana, a city in Mexico that is right across the border from San Diego, California. Our family goes there often for family parties, and like any party, if you don't get there early, you have a hard time finding a parking spot. My cousin had been one of the last people to get there, so her and her family got stuck parking on the other side of the block from where the party was taking place. It was getting dark, and seeing as we were close to the beach, it was getting cold, so Ariel wanted to go to her car to get her sweater. I thought it was a really bad idea seeing as we were in Tijuana during a party, and there tends to be a lot of old drunk creepers around, but I agreed to go with her. We got to her car fine, but instead of walking back the way we had come, which in retrospect would have been safer, Ariel said that she knew a shortcut where we could cut across a house and get straight to the party. I agreed to let her lead the way to the shortcut, seeing as I didn't know of this shortcut, but apparently she didn't either, because we ended up walking past the house and making a complete circle. We got to the street that leads to the party, but it was still at least 200 feet before we got close to the house. We continued walking, and I noticed a guy standing to the side. He looked to be around our age, and he was staring at us. Even when I made eye contact with him, he didn't look away. I thought it was kind of weird, and mentioned it to my cousin, but she was so busy talking that I guess she didn't hear me. We walked right past him, and because it was dark, a streetlight was turning on behind us, making our shadows visible in front of us. I have a habit of checking my shadow, and when I looked down, I noticed that the guy's shadow was right in between ours. I wasn't scared seeing his shadow behind us, more like confused. Then he said, "Do one of you have a coin you could spare?" I turned around to look at him, but before I could respond, my cousin grabs my hand and starts running. I didn't understand why she was running. In fact, I thought for a moment that she was being rude for running away from someone who might have needed help. That is, until I saw her look back and scream. That was when I turned around and saw that this guy was right behind us, chasing us. My heart sank to my stomach, and I felt fear spread through my whole body. But as quickly as that fear crept up on me, it disappeared and turns into anger. I pulled my hand away from Ariel's grasp, turned to face this guy and scream, "What the hell do you want?" He stopped running, but he doesn't stop coming after us. And of course, he doesn't respond. I turned my back to him and started walking forward again. We were now much closer to the house, so I wasn't really scared of him coming after us anymore. My cousin, however, went ballistic. She started picking up rocks from the street and tossing them at the guy while cursing at him in English and in Spanish. I tried to calm her down, but she was not stopping. Even when we see this guy running away and out of view, she was still screaming for good measure. Finally, Ariel calms down a little and starts walking back with me. We walk the last maybe 20 or 30 feet to the front of the house and look back down the street one last time to make sure the guy is gone. We don't see him, but Ariel notices that one of our younger cousins is inside of her car, which is about 4 cars away from us. We don't want her to run into this creep, so Ariel starts running towards our cousin's car. Then suddenly she starts screaming, and I see the same guy come out from in between 2 cars that are almost directly in front of the party. I have no idea how he got so close to us, so fast without us noticing. This time Ariel made sure to chase him away, and got our cousin out of her car and took her inside the house. It wasn't until we got inside the house and calmed down a bit that Ariel told me why she was running. She had turned around and saw this guy was chasing us with his penis out. I had not noticed that when I had looked back. To me, the scariest part was knowing that, had Ariel not noticed the car light for my cousin's car was on, our little cousin would have come out and walked right past the creep, and who knows if he would have tried to do something to her. This guy really underestimated us, thinking we would be easy targets. We may be short, but we are not weak, and he better think about what he's doing and who he tries to mess with, because not everyone is going to allow themselves to be victimized. I would like to start off by saying that a lot of people think I have read too much into this, but it's different when it's something you're going through firsthand. Last fall, I took a job at a sort of catch-all entertainment center. The job would range by season and needs, so you would be working in a bar or printing tickets for entertainers that come through. My job in the fall was to be the victim in the haunt grounds. My post was located on its own, away from the main attraction. I met a lot of people from work online since my spot was so far away from stuff. I added a guy Bob to my friends list. We talked a bit, but not often. He'd send me a message saying hi or something, but that was it. Until one day I posted saying that I needed a test subject for a project. He said he would, and he was the first one. I was in a hurry to complete this, so I said I would see him later that day. We went through with the assignment, and when we were done, we watched some Bob's Burgers while waiting for his ride. He left, and I went on with my day. He texted me later saying that he had fun and that I looked pretty. Odd, but I did have to dress well for the project because I was working with a pretend client and my outfit was to be graded. I just said thank you and left it at that. The next few weeks of clunky text conversations were mostly hellos and talk about the weather. Until one day out of nowhere he tells me he's unhappy with the size of his male parts and offers to send me a picture so that I may judge. I respond that I wasn't comfortable with this and that I knew he had a girlfriend and she wouldn't be happy either. He said that he was sorry, and the next few days passed with no texts. But he liked all of my posts and offered to be a job reference for me. I felt bad and I let it go. After that, one morning he shows up randomly with my favorite soda and wants to watch TV with me. I figured it was his awkward way of saying sorry, and I let him in. I took the drink, making sure it was closed, and watched the TV for a bit. I told him I had plans and couldn't have company long, and he asked me who I was going to see. I told him I was going on a blind date. He got a sad look and said that he had to go. Later that night, he blew up my phone with texts, saying things like he wished he were dead, calling me a whore and other nasty names, and sending me pictures of what he said were his slit wrists, but I'm pretty sure it was red magic marker lines. This kept going, and he made another account pretending to be a guy named Jason. This Jason guy would randomly beg to be added to my list, and told me in complete random bluntness that he was a rapist. At one point I got a message from Bob saying that this Jason guy had raped him, and he was going to kill himself because I didn't care enough about him and won't protect him from being raped. I was confused and kind of worried. I didn't believe him, but I couldn't chance this being true, so I offered to call the police for him. The last message he sent made it clear that the rape story was a trick to get me to talk to him. He said he was going to take me to see The Hobbit, but that he's going alone, and then he called me a bitch. I'm still avoiding him, and when we see each other at work, he always looks at me with puppy eyes. I'm a 38-year-old Portuguese woman, and this happened 20 years ago while I was in university. I was at my favorite jazz club in my city with my friends when they introduced me to this guy Miguel. He was a very cultured musician, and I felt really attracted to him. He was very nice and lovely. We ended up dating for about a month until he started to get aggressive with me. There was this one time I told him that I was going home, but on my way some friends invited me to go to the jazz club, so I went. As soon as I arrived there, I felt someone grabbing my arm. It was Miguel. He had followed me. He pushed me to the side and started to insult me and scream at me, and then asked me why I hadn't gone home. I really thought he was going to hit me, but my friend saw what was happening and held him back. I broke up with him right away and didn't hear from him for a while. One day, I was going to classes when I started getting the feeling that I was being followed. When I looked behind me, I saw him in his car. I was so scared I ran to the university. The days passed, and I always felt like he was watching me. I knew the sound of his car already, and I swear I could hear it every time I went outside. I told my friends what was going on, and they told me to be careful because he was probably waiting for me in the parking lot. I told them that it was probably my head playing tricks on me. It was what I wanted to believe. As I was in college, I had to make a group project, so I went to my colleague's house. Keep in mind that this was 20 years ago, so we couldn't do it on the internet. When it was time to go home, it was already dark outside, and to reach my house I had to go through a narrow dark street that was always empty. I was walking for only a moment when I heard it, the sound of his car. Miguel was following me again. As my house wasn't close yet, I ran to a random apartment entrance and hid there hoping he would just go home. He didn't. After a couple of minutes I peeked onto the street and I saw him sitting on the hood of his car with his arms crossed. He saw me too. "Get in the car," he said. "No," I replied. He kept asking me, getting more aggressive each time, but I kept saying no, until he takes his hand from behind his back and shows me a knife and puts it on top of the car right beside him. I was shocked. He then asked me again to get in the car, and I ran. I ran for my life. As soon as I got home, I quickly opened the door with my hands trembling, and with a really shaky voice I called my sister that lived with me but was not at home, and told her everything that had happened. It was about 1 a.m. when we went to the police station, where I ended up getting a restraining order against him. After I graduated, I moved to Cape Verde. Even though I could get a job in Portugal, I decided to go because I was still scared that it might happen again. A few years later, I came back, and my friends told me that Miguel was now a police officer. I couldn't believe it. Not long after that, already dating my now husband, we bought our first car together, and a few days later I got an anonymous message, in which was written my license plate number. I know it was him, because him being a cop, he has all of my personal information. To this day, I'm afraid of being stopped by a police officer while I'm driving, because it could be him. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you would like a chance to have your story featured in an upcoming video, make sure you check the description for information on how to submit your stories. So I've decided as a big thank you for everyone helping me out and joining my little militia trying to help me reach 100,000 subscribers by my birthday, I'm gonna do a little bit of a giveaway. I'll be giving away some new merchandise from my store, and all you have to do for your chance to win is to share my videos with the hashtag YourMakerMilitia. I'll be keeping an eye out for everyone sharing, and I'll choose a few people at random. If you don't have any Facebook or Twitter or any of that, don't worry, you're not left out. I'll also be choosing some people out of my comments section, so make sure you comment down below your Maker Militia, and you may be chosen for some free merchandise. I just want to say again that I really appreciate all your support, and I'll catch you in the next video. And just remember, it's always scarier if it's true. Bonus story time, bonus story time, bonus story time, bonus story time. Thank you for watching till the end, now it's bonus story time. I am 15 years old, and well, this is one story I will never forget. One day I was watching one of your maker's videos and playing my Xbox One when I noticed my phone was running out of battery. I live in a really nice and safe area, so I really have no problems where I live. I went to go get my charger from my room on the top floor. My house is an average sized place. It has one basement, a 2-car garage, a middle floor with kitchen and living rooms, and a top floor with all the bedrooms. As I was going to get my charger from my room, I go to turn on the upstairs light by flipping the switch from the middle floor. The switch to turn on the light from the top floor has a weird annoying connection. If one switch is turned a certain way, the switch on the middle floor to turn on the light on the top floor won't work. It didn't work, and I had to go upstairs in complete darkness and find a switch to turn on the light so I could see. As I make my way upstairs, I see a dark figure standing in my parents' room. I just blow it off as my mind trying to scare me. But when I turn on the light switch, there was actually a man there. He wasn't a very tall man, I would say about 5'3", and he was maybe in his mid-30s. When he noticed that I was standing there, he just looked at me with a very creepy smile. I was shocked, but a little angry too. My parents were downstairs, but I was so scared and angry I tried to scream, but I couldn't. Well, being a 15-year-old mischievous boy, I would look up attacks and counterattack tutorials on YouTube. Keep in mind, I wasn't that short for my age. I'm 5'7". As he stared at me, he put his finger to his mouth and said, "Shh." That got me even more creeped out, and even more mad. And out of nowhere, this guy starts sprinting towards me, and that is where my YouTube tutorial video came in. I did a spin move where I duck down and stick out my leg, so he misses my body, but he trips over my leg. When I tripped him, I was by the stairs, and he tripped and hit his head really hard on the wall. And when he hit the wall, he got stunned, so I took that opportunity to kick him down the stairs. When I kicked him down the stairs, he rolled down until he came to a stop and hit his head on the wall. My mom and dad came rushing to see the man bleeding. While my father pinned him down, I went to call the police. The police got there relatively quick, and they took this guy to the hospital. Later I found out that he died from a concussion and internal bleeding to the brain. I didn't feel bad, because what I did notice when my dad had him pinned down was that he had a pocket knife in his back pocket. I'm just glad that no one in my family got hurt, and I thank God that I remember those fighting tutorials, because if I didn't, who knows what would have happened to me. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, and this last story, I don't say it often, but I find this one a little bit hard to believe. That being said, I did find it entertaining, and thank you very much for sending it in. That's why I included it as a bonus story. I hope you all have a great weekend, and I'll catch you in that there on the next video. And make sure you don't drink and drive this weekend, or any weekend. I got a new design up on my shop if you want to go check out my spreadshirt. You can be part of your Maker Militia and help support the channel. I really appreciate it. And if merchandise ain't something you're interested in, well, just watch this video again, baby. If you right-click that button, you can turn it on loop, you can go to bed, and it'll keep replaying all night, and you'll have beautiful dreams. Beautiful dreams. Beautiful dreams. He was a very tall man. I would say about 5'3", and he was in his mid-30s.
Hey boy, we David at you go. Hey baby, I'm gonna take you to see the Hobbit. You wanna go?
I was going to take you to see the Hobbit, but now I'm going alone. Bitch. He said that he was going to take me to see the Hobbit, but he'd go alone, and then called me a bitch. That is the scariest part of the story right there. He's gonna take her to go see the Hobbit.